Namaskar. I think we are live now. So thank you very much for those who joined. Let me quickly check who are we live on LinkedIn and YouTube. Yes, we are. So those who are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, give me a shout out and tell me where you are from, why you are here, what would you like to know from our guest today. And meanwhile, I'll get started. So I can already see people have joined. So firstly, this is my 43rd show in this series, and I know that I have messed up the numbers somewhere because somebody reminded me that this is probably 45th. So I and counting the quality series that I do for Kimpro, which is in its 19th session. So this is quite a bit. Thank you very much for your love, affection, support, and consistent, encouragement. Without that, nothing of this is possible. So, as you know, and many of you know, for them revision, but those who are new, very quickly, in this show called Manage Better, I try and bring coaches, consultants, authors, practitioners, anybody who has the ability to help all of us manage better. I truly believe that none of us are born with the skills that we need. We all can learn as we go along, right? Whether we are 20-year-old, 25-year-old, or like me, 50-year-old, who wants to learn new things, right? So, the 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 energy and the enthusiasm that I get from the audience is exemplary, and that keeps me going for these kind of shows. And also to reach out to younger audience because somewhere if you get some help at the early stage of your career, then you know then your career is a little more sorted than others, right? And I did share in the opening or the promotion of this show, this particular episode, that I made a mistake, that I did not reach out early in my career. I knew that I had some concerns, I had problems, I needed guidance. Of course, I had friends and colleagues and family, but friends, colleagues, and family can't solve or can't help you in many of the cases that you face as an individual. In fact, you also don't talk to friends, family, and colleagues related to career issues. So that is where we need a coach. And the world of coaching, or the world of or the need for coaching, has become more acute or more realized in the last 5 years or so. When I was starting my career in 1994, it wasn't uh, that that I would say intense, right? So, with that, I will invite the guest that we have today, and I have carefully selected somebody who has not only got ideas about how young careers can be shaped, but has also helped a lot of people already. So she has that experience to be able to share with us, right? Otherwise, it can be a little bit theoretical. So I've carefully selected somebody whom I'll introduce with pleasure in a minute. But meanwhile, I have a question already from Porush, uh, or Porush or Porus. Does this happen on a weekly, uh, daily, weekly? Not daily, certainly. I try and do these sessions 2 to 3 times a month. So you can expect something like this. Thank you for your interest. Firstly, something like this every Saturday, 11 a.m. usually. But the topics keep changing, right? So generally, it is around managing better. Next week, for example, we are bringing a world famous quality professional. Same time. The week after that is on financial freedom, how to achieve financial freedom. So the topics can keep changing, but it is generally for topics which can help people. And our friend Vinati is never too shy of sharing what she thinks of us. So thank you very much. Cheers to you as well. Okay, coming to the guest to the show. So it's actually strange to call her a guest because we now interact so much amongst our community that it almost feels like this is probably her show as well. But it is my duty to introduce the guest. So today, my guest today is Dhairya Gangwani. So Dhairya is, of course, and we'll know more about her in a bit, but I'll give you some snippets. So she's a electronics and communication engineer turned management consultant and a full-time creator and coach. All of this in only 2.5 years. Right? So if you thought that life is very going by very fast and it is you can't keep pace with all that, see what Dhairya has done. She's graduated in 2020, the COVID year. Right. So if anybody thought that COVID year students had any disadvantage, here is one living proof that there was no disadvantage. In fact, she was able to turn that 2 year COVID period into a huge advantage for herself. She joined, of course, KPMG after her uh, college, which is VIT, and then only recently moved into full time coaching after experimenting with coaching for about 2 years. Hear this out. She has already has 75,000 plus followers on LinkedIn, and I think the number would have already changed while I am speaking. So, and people like me are her followers. We consume her content because it is amazing. Right? So, she has already guided 5,000 plus people. Right. So, 5,000 plus people in 2 years. It do the maths. So do the maths. It's many people per day, assuming that she works every day. Many people per day, almost like if all you count working days and all, then it would be 6 to 7 people per day, maybe more. During her college, she did over 25 plus internships. People like me did three, so that could give you some idea. And I've done well for myself, so sky is the limit for people like Dhairya. Extremely passionate about public speaking, learning new languages, and something I learned only while speaking to her only recently is that she loves her dance work. But that's not why she's here. She's here because she coaches young people in young and even elder people, but that's her forte. So if you want any coaching around LinkedIn profile building, resumes, early career internships, how to get career guidance in an early stage, Dhairya is the person to go, and I will invite her now to the stream. Welcome, Dhairya, and you are on mute. Now you are not. So welcome to the show, and so happy that we are finally able to do this session because originally this was planned in October,
Yes.
but for one reason or the other, we've been missing the timeline. But glad that you are here.
I'm
Any
really glad we are doing this, and thank you so much. You have overpraised me, sir. इतनी तारीफ. I've not achieved as much as sir has put it that way, but I'm just honored that I'm doing this live session with sir, and because we've been a part of the LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program together, that too the first one, and I think just as he was mentioning, that community is so active that we keep interacting and sharing messages and talking about what we are doing in our life that I don't think I can also term him as a host or he can term me as a guest either way because everyone is so close knit now. And I think also when you started the show, Manage Better, I've been seeing. I think whatever happened in the middle is different, but you've been as consistent as possible, brought in new guests, new variety, great topics, and I think the agenda overall of the talk show wherein we're trying to bridge a gap, which is that people have to concentrate on an amalgamation of holistic growth to grow in life. Neither just soft skills nor just technical skills will help anyways. So I think I really like that, and that is something I personally believe in as well. So when you told me that you're doing something like this, there was no way that I was going to say no. It's just that the date was getting postponed because of various reasons, but I'm so happy we are doing this finally.
No, better late than never, Dharya,
Yes.
and thank you very much. The show, as you know, is more around bridging the skills that early career people need and senior people need.
Right.
But as we were talking earlier, and we have discussed this earlier, that early career space is a very complex space. Because people sometimes don't get the advice they need, and many people don't know what they need.
What they want.
So
Yeah.
right, so and that's the space I wanted to explore and help out. And of course, a lot of people will watch this live,
Yeah.
but many of the so this show of course goes on YouTube as well, and those who are here for the first time and want to see archives of the show, you can of course go to my channel on YouTube, and you will be able to see. I will post the link to the show during the uh, show. But let's get going. We are already 10 minutes into the show, so
Sure.
we'll get going, right? So one obvious question straight away, there is that you are pretty much a student yourself. You just did your engineering in 2020, right?
Yeah.
And I, apart from being amazed at how much you have done and how passionate you are, we'll keep that aside for a moment, right? It is impossible that you had been dreaming of doing this, you started like this or something, right? There must have been some organic movement. So I
True.
want to understand from you, how did this happen that Dhairya, during her college, transformed from a person who was of course a student and then started helping students, and now does that for a living, right? So
Yeah.
within like 2 3 years, you found your hobby or passion, you nurtured your passion and then converted your passion into a profession. This
Right.
is unheard of for many people. Of course, for artists and all, sometimes it is possible because there is a very overlapping, I would say, journey for artists, but not so much for career coaches. But how did it happen for you? And then we will of course get into how you help others and what kind of services you offer.
Sure. I think, like you said, I had never planned anything of what I'm doing today. In fact, it's almost every day or every alternate day that me, my family members, we wonder and think, how am I doing what I'm doing and how have I landed up here? So I think the beauty itself is that I never wanted to do something or I planned or built a roadmap towards it. It happened very organically. And I think the major contributor to the factor that how it happened, I won't say seamlessly, but it happened with clarity, was because there was clarity in my thought with respect to my strengths and my weaknesses. I think what I was able to identify early on, which I know honestly is very difficult for most people, but somehow it was very clear in my head that there are certain things that I'm really good at, which I should obviously keep doing and get better at it and more skilled at it. Here are the things I'm probably not good at, and if that's needed in what I want to do, I'll have to work towards them. That clarity further helped me know what kind of career paths I can take up and which I will not be able to do justice to. So I think because in my head, before knowing what I want to do, I was very clear with what I didn't want to do. That helped me a lot because I'd done the elimination process in my head. I can't do A, I can't do B, I can't do C. So now it's easier for me to narrow down what I can do. At least that was my journey. So when I narrowed down that something where a lot of people skills, emotional intelligence, problem solving is involved, is something I enjoy. And I identified that over the period of 3 years of engineering, consulting started making sense. Now, it's not like consulting didn't make sense 2 years later, and that's why I took this up. Consulting was going very well. In fact, even the growth at the firm was very good, honestly, and everything was pretty nice. The only thing that I think caused me to move out was I realized that while I was hustling all the way, so all this while I had a full time job, every single day after my working hours, I would dedicate at least 4 to 5 hours to my side hustle for 2 years continuously. And while I did that, I didn't attach any expectations to it that it has to monetarily feed me or it has to start making me an income equivalent to my salary so that one day I can leave my job. Obviously, there was a sense of I would say accomplishment in the fact that okay, I can at least make some money from somewhere else other than my job. So I used to just feel like I have another skill set also to bank upon. That's it. And the other motivation was I was somehow able to do something wherein I was not just impacting my life but also somebody else's life, and I could see the results and the impact created in their life. And that's how suddenly I think I got really inclined towards career coaching. And I decided that this field definitely just gives me more joy because of what I'm able to see, the difference I'm able to make in people's life. And that's how I, slowly and steadily started, uh, I would say, consciously thinking of how this could be turned into a full time thing. And obviously, content creation was also happening on LinkedIn. So that was by default. In fact, when a lot of people ask me, I always say I'm a career coach first, then a creator, because The only reason why I started creating videos was because not everybody, even though I charge my services at a very affordable price, the point is not everybody can still afford that, especially in a
Hmm.
country like India. So for them, what do I do? That was my thought process. Something. So it was not like I want to give back or something, but I thought there should be some alternative, and content came as a form of just sharing knowledge for free on a platform. And then the content creation part also started giving a lot of results I'd never thought of. So I think because I never went into it with a lot of calculation and what I want out of it and what will happen, it just organically fell into place. Yeah.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense, Daria. Like, and I was trying to note down some nuggets that you said. That organic is the word that comes, right? Even though it seems like an overnight success, that
Yeah.
Daria is like what, early 20s and has 75,000 followers, and one of the most popular coaches around, this that, and it seems like a story which is a overnight success story. But like every other overnight success story, there is a lot of hard work behind it. And in your case, I also noticed that there is a hard work without any major expectations, right? So I get a lot of youngsters, and my own son is in third year architecture now. So,
Yeah.
and I sometimes feel that we put a lot of burden of expectation, and sometimes youngsters also carry a burden of expectation a
Yeah.
lot. Whereas how life will turn out and where it will take if you just followed what you are good at is amazing, right? In my own case, I decided during my engineering days that I would follow quality management as a career.
Right.
Of course, at that time, it was probably more, what I liked. But
Hmm.
eventually, it is now 27, 28 years, and I'm still at it.
Yeah.
And, that's the power of doing what you like to do. So
Like
I'm so
doing.
glad that you followed. I'm careful in not using the word passion loosely or lightly, but at this stage it is like you like to do this, you are good at it, you realize your strengths, you realize your other weaknesses as well, that or areas you did not want to go, and that is quite amazing. So we already have a comment from Mrinal, the Kora girl. So Mrinal, I still remember when you told, this is for you, when you told me
Yeah.
that you took that call there. Yeah, we both were sitting at the reception of the LinkedIn office.
Yeah.
Uh, I was there too, and I
Yeah.
remember this conversation. And you are truly a coach, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Mrinal. And
Thank you so much, Pranal. Yeah. I
Mrinal,
remember we were there at the lobby when I told her that I've just put down my papers. So I think she has been witness to, that shift. And when I decided that I'll take that call, yeah.
I'm so glad you did, because sometimes when you don't have too much burden of responsibility, expectation, and the rest, the decision is the right choice.
Yeah.
Okay, like I said, this was only the starter kind of a question, just to understand how you got there. And I wanted the audience, those who are live and those who will watch this later, to understand that this does not happen overnight. It takes time, effort, passion, perseverance. And there might have been early days where Dhairya's posts were getting zero likes,
Yeah.
and had zero followers, and so on. So if you are in that space today, stay consistent, stay patient, add value, and things do change. But Dharia is not here as a content creator. She's here for this session as a coach, right? So, of
Right.
course, content creation, we can do another session where we can again talk to her. But she's here as a coach. So, from a career coach point of view, Dharia, what kind of people come to you? What do they ask? What services are they looking for? And forget the payment part, because
Yeah.
need is a need. Whether they can pay or not is a separate question. But what
Correct.
kind of needs do people have, especially youngsters?
Yeah. I think, thank you for asking that question, sir. I think one common thing that I've seen amongst most of the people who do come to me uh, is a lot of them, I think, fall under three brackets, like I would like to put them. One
Hmm.
are those individuals who have no clue about what they want to do whatsoever, right? So it's a blank slate. They don't know what they want to do, what's the next move, what's the next step. what career path to take, why to take it. So you have to work with them from ground up, from scratch. That's one category of people who come on board. I think the second kind of people who come up with queries are people who know, at least who have an idea that, okay, let's say they'll come to me and say that, Dhairya, I'm also interested in testing and software development, let's say, and web designing. These three things I'm interested in, but I'm not able to narrow down or choose one field, right? And I need help with identifying which field will I do better in, right? Or which would be the right career path to take. And how do I build on this? What roadmap should I follow? That's another category wherein they have at least some options, but they're not able to pick one. And I think the third category are those individuals who are slightly senior in terms of the hierarchy at which they work in a corporate, and they are mid to senior level professionals wherein they've done a substantial amount of work already in life, but they've worked in one domain for a couple of years. And now suddenly they want to make a switch and they want to transition in their career. So they need help with navigating through that transition. So I think these are the three kinds of individuals who come to me with different kinds of queries, and the queries are on the lines of either understanding what kind of a resume to build. If let's say you want to switch careers, so how do you show that you have that skill set, or you are capable of, let's say, standing at a strong foot with individuals who have spent 10 or 15 years in that same industry, right? Those kind of queries. Or what technical skills or soft skills should they work upon to be able to, let's say, crack a particular interview, how to decide which field interests you. Some people also want to just know that, how do I even know I like something, right? As basic as that, that how would I know that I'm passionate about something, or I like something, or I can be good at it. So I think the range is very broad, but ultimate goal, I think, under each of these three categories in any question that is asked by a person is to know that how can I just be in a better situation with respect to my career and shape it in such a way that I accelerate my growth. That's the ultimate goal for everybody. So I think it's just that most of the queries come from a standpoint of understanding that, number one, is it possible to do this via only a certification or a degree? Or can I also do it by building on certain skills, right? A lot of people also have a confusion with respect to whether they are in the right field because they've been doing it for 10 years, they've just been doing it, and then they question themselves that, was I in the right field all along this way? Suddenly, something happens and they just want to know that should they continue here or shift. So it's not like they want to shift, they are just contemplating their decision after 5 or 10 years of whether they were in the right industry all this while. So I think there are different kinds of individuals who come up, and these are some of the major queries that they ask. Yeah.
So I was only wondering that if I had this question, you know, it is a little too late in my career to ask that question if I am in the right place. But I really loved how you were able to categorize, and that's the clarity of thought that you were probably earlier mentioning, how
Yeah.
you chose this career. It was demonstrated in how you segregated or classified your audience in three parts, and as you were speaking, I realized that because I speak to a lot of mid-career professionals, like you speak to mostly early career professionals, and you'll be surprised that the categories are same actually, right? So there
Hmm.
are some set of people who mid-career also have no clue why
True.
they are doing what they are doing and what should they do, and inertia is such a beautiful thing that you can continue, you can
Continue. Yeah.
continue, and then suddenly one day some you know accident happens, one uh, accident that you don't want happens, and then they realize that they have been in inertia for 5 years, 10 years. Last week I spoke to somebody who has been wanting to change for 15 years.
Oh my
He's a
God.
good performer. He's in his 40s now
Okay.
and wanted help. And I
Hmm.
was helpless. I said, look, 15 years is a long time, and you were saying that you have been thinking and trying. Of course, we did have a conversation, but
Yeah.
I felt really helpless. So I think the lesson from that is that those who are listening now and later to this show, please keep in mind that if you make intentional choices in early in your career, right, and the crux of what Dhairya said is intentional. Of
Correct.
course, nobody knows whether the choice that you make will be good or bad, or will. And if you take a path, you never know what would have happened if you'd taken the other path. Nobody
Other part.
knows, right? So,
Yeah.
but the fact that you made an intentional choice will push you to work hard on it and make it successful. Right? Whatever path you choose, right, you will work hard for it. If it is accidental choice, then you will leave it to fate, family, friends, neighbors dog, and everybody else,
Hmm.
but you will not work on it because it is not your choice.
True.
Your choice is most important, and I always use the word intentional because it is with intention that you make that choice.
Choice. Yeah.
So, so we had a little bit of peep of what kind of issues young people face, and you of course try and then help them with guidance and coaching in making these choices, right? And sometimes
Right.
even clarifying their thinking process, right?
Correct.
So shout out to anybody who wants these kind of services or knows somebody who may want, can reach out to Dhairya. And if you're a little older in your profession, then I am always around.
Yes.
Um, okay. One question that I got when I was speaking to people about this show, I did speak to a few people, particularly who are in early career or students, and including my son. And I said, "What should I ask?" Because this is not my strength space, And one reason I'm speaking to her is to learn so that I understand how that space operates. So they
Yes.
said one question three people shared is that there's a lot of buzz around, we should be active on LinkedIn and so on. First of all, what does it mean for a young professional to be active on LinkedIn? And can LinkedIn actually help in our profession in any way? Right. Some were, of course, a little worried and scared that if people see me more often on LinkedIn, the employees or colleagues will think that I have time only for LinkedIn, and so on, right? Which I told them that happens even at my age, and so that you cannot worry too
Yeah, you
much
can't.
about.
Yeah.
But other than that, I will ask this question. So the summarized question is that how can LinkedIn help somebody in their early career to propel their career or even expand their career or have choices and generally grow in that sense? So anything on that, since you are also a career coach along with being content creator on LinkedIn, so you are the right person to be asked this question.
Yeah. I think, according to me, and I've said this on so many platforms, and I continue to say it, that for me, at least as an individual, everything that you see that I've been able to do also in these 2.5 years has been possible to, I would say, 90 to 95% credit would go to LinkedIn, because this is the platform from where all the opportunities came my way, which could, lead me to doing this full time. So for me, it has helped me transform my entire career and think of a new profession altogether, which I never even thought of ever in my life. And I'll tell you that, irrespective of whether you're working in a technical role or non-tech role, I think, and especially if you're a young working professional, I would urge you even the more to be on LinkedIn, because I feel that I was myself very reluctant when I was told to join LinkedIn, because the point I joined LinkedIn was 4 months right after graduating. So 4 years of my engineering when I was a student, I never used LinkedIn because my seniors, nobody guided me or told me that be on LinkedIn. It's um, a good platform or whatever, it can help you. Nothing like that. So I just had a random profile, no active content going up there, nothing. And suddenly, when you have a job and you have an internship and somebody tells you, be on LinkedIn, I think I was of that mindset that if I have a job and internship already, why should I be on LinkedIn? So that was my counter to them. Because I thought that you only get onto the platform to get a job, right? And I already have one. So, and had I been in that mindset, I wouldn't be sitting here, honestly, because that was a very clear thought in my head. But then I realized slowly and steadily that you can, how do I put it? I want to put it in the most respectful manner, that no matter where you are working and what kind of a job you are doing, to have a separate identity of your own detached from the brand name and the job title that you hold somewhere is very important. That's my personal thought. Because, and especially with the kind of times that are going on right now, we all know what's happening all around. it is so essential. I'm not saying it should be a source of income or have a secondary source of income or it should be monetized, but at least one skill, one thing that you also do just for yourself and not because you're accountable to a certain KPI at a firm is important. That's my personal and strong opinion. Because there will definitely come a day in life wherein people have to be able to recognize you away from a tag of a company to what you also do. So when I was working at KPMG also, I would 100% take pride, and even today, I with a lot of pride say that I'm an ex KPMG associate, and I write it on my posters or whatever. But with that, even while working there and even after working there, the one thing that has remained the same is from day one, the day I was working there, I'd started working on what else can I be known for. And I always knew that while people knew me as an employee at KPMG, also they also knew me as somebody who can help professionals with careers. That's it, and that's all that I wanted. That just in case, if for whatever reason you're not a part of the firm at some stage in your life, people should know you also as an individual and what you have to offer to them. So I think that is what LinkedIn can help you with, because it's not always about being a content creator. I know not everybody needs to be a content creator, not everybody has to monetize. You don't need to do that. And you don't also have to be on LinkedIn only when you're looking for a job or you need referrals. LinkedIn is an avenue to be able to connect with the right kind of people, to get exposure, to start becoming visible in a network which you don't have access to as of now. So once you start getting active there, you build an optimized profile and create content, doors that you've never imagined start opening up, right? So I think as young working professionals, we don't look at it as a very great avenue because we have just started our career and we think, what could it help us with? But you never know in the future, your next company that you're going to work at, that boss might be viewing your posts since the past 1 year and you may end up landing a job because of that. You don't know if you want to become like a freelancer in the future. Your first few clients will be those people who are interacting with your content. So things come around here. And because it is a high quality professional networking platform, the audience that you get here is very filtered, and I would say they know why they're following you. Let me put it that way, right? And with no offense to any other platform. So I think it's great for working professionals to get started with on this platform overall and to create a strong personal brand for themselves apart from what they're doing in their 9 to 5. Yeah.
There is no 9 to 5 these days there, yes. But it is 9 to 9 for me, but sometimes 9 to 11.
True, that I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, I
9 to 5
completely.
is not a timing anymore, anyways, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I hope and coming from you, it makes a lot of sense also because you have done this very very recently, right? So it's not like somebody like me who's talking about what I did 20 years ago. It may not
Hmm.
be relevant today, right? Right. I hope it is, but it may not be, right? And I should be
Hmm.
acutely aware of that. But you have done it very recently and seen that journey. So you are sharing your journey. So thank you for that. As you were speaking, I did realize that I get similar questions in other ways, like why should I even think of personal branding? And I keep saying that you may not know, but you already have a personal brand, right? So all you are
Yeah.
doing is you are building or building upon what is already there. So if somebody is a quiet person, is not very communicative, is silent in meetings, doesn't talk to anybody much, but has aspirations and dreams and other things, already has a personal brand. This is his or her personal brand. Right? So what people don't realize is that personal brand doesn't happen online. It happens in the real life, offline, and then it translates and manifests itself on a platform like
Online.
LinkedIn or other thing. Right? So that online happens after you have a brand of your own. Right? If you don't have a brand, there is no brand which is only online. Right? So of course, apart from some digital first brands, but from a personal branding point of view, please know that you have a brand and that brand comes online, right? And it depends totally on you whether you want that. That was one point that I thought I'll add to what there you said. The other is very rightly said that this being active on LinkedIn, uh, particularly for youngsters, and is seen as something like, oh, I don't have anything to share. You don't
Hmm.
have to, right? Like you said, everybody doesn't need to be a content creator or a consistent one as well, right? So there
True.
can be and every content creator anyway needs consumers also, right? So if you and I are creating content on LinkedIn, we need followers as well. So
Yeah,
uh, if nobody's reading what we are writing, it doesn't give us any joy, right? So please
true.
don't fall into this trap that you have to be a content creator only. You can learn a lot through uh, what you're reading online, and people are like, this is a highly filtered network, like Dhairya said. So your chances of getting high quality content are very, very high. And as you grow in your career, you will realize, and I'm from 2010 onwards, every job that I have got is through LinkedIn. So including in
I
an
was
interview.
actually, sir, sorry to interrupt, but your example also, even till date, I mean, obviously you're working at a very senior level right now. I saw your recent post also. Congratulations on the new role. But the point is that even at this stage of his career, where I'm sure there's all kinds of stability in life, if he is choosing to put himself out there on the internet and doing such LinkedIn live shows and do so many things, I don't see any reason why somebody who's just starting out their career shouldn't. And if he's able to manage it and he's doing it, what he's doing is also, I'm sure Anshuman sir is known for what he does at DXC Technologies and his previous firms. But that's what I'm saying. He has also built an identity for himself on LinkedIn, which is different, which portrays a different side of himself, which makes him a 360-degree value add on in general now to even any other firm. And I think when you also said in the beginning, sir, a lot of people, even when I used to create posts, everybody till the top level management and KPMG knew that Dhairya is active on LinkedIn. Everybody knew it. The good fact was that I was never discouraged for it, luckily. And I understand it may depend on teams, on environments, or whatever. But I was luckily not discouraged in any way. In fact, everybody was very happy with what I was doing. And they would always observe and engage with my content. They knew of the fact that I'm pretty active. I think what people also need to understand is, like he said, at any stage, your firm, if you're working somewhere full time, they will obviously have that minute thought that maybe you have that time to give in somewhere else as well. But I think that's only human, right? If you can
Yeah,
manage it, why shouldn't you? So I think,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so I think you shouldn't get discouraged by the fact if somebody's pointing it out, also, it's completely okay. But I think you should continue doing it because it's very important and it's going to help you and the firm indirectly in the long run. I definitely feel that I'm not advocating myself, but in some way or the other, I've used KPMG's name so many times. Associated with me wherever I've gone, I've been a torch bearer for KPMG in a way.
I'll
So I
I'll
feel
I'll
proud
let
about that.
Samir
Yeah.
know next time I speak to him. So,
But sir, isn't it a good thing that you're taking your
absolutely.
company's name with pride everywhere?
Oh no, absolutely, and that's the
Yeah.
point of personal brand. That like I said, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, it is already there, right? So
True.
your first company, KPMG, is a part of you. 10 years from
Correct.
now, also it will be a part of you, right? So,
Agreed.
uh, and that is true for all of us, and this is a symbiotic relationship, uh, and we are thriving on it. But thank you for your kind words for me. But I do this because I want to learn, right? So I can learn from anybody, and
Yeah.
always very keen. So thank you for that. We have a few comments. So Brenda Mendes has joined. Of course, Brenda, thank you for joining. Brenda is a job search coach from Mumbai. So anybody who's keen on taking her services, go ahead. Salim has mentioned few comments, but I will take this Quora girls question. Um, thank, thanks, Mrinal. But the question for you, question for Dhairya, is about young adults who are probably working in service development, consulting, or any such core technical fields. How much in advance and when they should start looking for coaching services to pivot their careers, right? So when should they, or when will they know that they need these services? Any tips on how to decide on the timeline? Asking for many young folks who come to me for it, of course. So thanks, Minal. Very incisive question, and since it is complex, I will ask Dhairya to answer. I don't have an answer.
No, sir. Okay, but okay. I'll just I think giving you a definite time range will definitely not be possible because everybody's journey is different. But I'll give you something that will be applicable to anybody. Now, A young working professional, according to me, I put them in the category of 0 to 5 years. That's my definition, because I think those are the initial years where you're budding, you're growing into an individual. So 0 to 5 years of work ex, anybody who falls in that bracket for me is a young working, early to young working professional, whatever you want to term it. Now, when if it's an individual who has, it's their first job, they're a fresher straight out of college, first job, been just 7 months, 8 months, they're coming to you and trying to understand, when should I switch, how should I switch, timelines. I think I've realized, because I was also at a stage where I think first jobs, as much as you feel that it's fine and they are the easiest, I think your first jobs will always be the most difficult. That's my opinion, because there's so much to adapt to, unlearn, and there's such a big transition you're making from a system that you have stayed in, wherein you are attending lectures, to actually practically doing things. No matter how practically you may have been taught in a college, it is different. So I think when you take up a first job, for me, it took me 7 months, I won't lie, to even realize what work I do in the firm. How does it impact the firm? Being very honest. What am I actually supposed to do? What are the KPIs on which I am being given a ranking or a rating in the mid year, yearly reviews, etc.? It took me 7 to 8 months to absorb what is Dhairya doing in this firm. Now, had I had a premature or a fickle conflict, which everybody has, and I thought that, oh, this is not the right place for me, I should leave or I should make a switch, this is not correct. And even if those thoughts come, I think it's too early on to judge. uh, you have to give things some time. And if it's a first job and you've just started, I feel don't get into any hasty decision before it's a year, unless you're in extreme emergency situations or something very extreme has happened wherein you really need to move. I think you should spend at least a year, because I think it takes you a year to understand the actual work culture, the ethics, what the company wants out of you, how you can contribute, and other things, and getting into the flow of the systems and processes in place. Now, once that year has passed, and then you still genuinely feel that no, I need to do something different, I need to switch, or things are not working out, I think that's the time when you can come in for services from coaches like me, wherein you feel that, okay, I've given it a shot, I've spent a year, which is, I think it's a decent amount of time to then understand that if after the year also of trying your best, you feel that you're out of place, then you should start seeking such services and reaching out to individuals, right? And to coaches for help. And if you have 2 or 3 years of work experience or whatever, and you suddenly realize work is becoming monotonous, or you want to do something different and you have an inclination towards it, then I think the moment that thought comes into your head, another thought that should come into your head very naturally, if you're so passionate about that field, is what can I do to build a career in this field? I think a lot of people want to move to different careers, but they won't be willing to put in the extra effort apart from their working hours to shift to that field. Are you ready to spend 2 to 3 hours after your day job to upskill and learn something new? Are you that enthusiastic towards that field? If that's the case, then when you know that you're ready to take action, then I think for a transitioning phase, you should come to a coach and further help them build a roadmap for you with respect to how you will bridge this gap and make that transition. So I think those would be the general timelines. Yeah.
I'm mesmerized there. Yeah. Somebody so young and early in their career, of course, it shows why people come to you for coaching, because you are very clear in how you think. Um,
Thank you, sir.
and one thought that came to my mind as you were sharing this, 1 year thing. I started working in 1994, and
Right.
I still remember that it was certainly 6 months or more when I figured out uh, there are some things I like about it and some things I can't live up with. But I did give it 1 year, right? And I think that 1 year is a very good timeline suggestion that you have given. I do
Yes.
meet people even now, uh, either in family, extended family, and other youngsters, or children of colleagues and all. 2 months, one week into the job, I am not
Yeah.
liking it.
Correct.
And my response is, the world has no under no obligation to be of service to you, right? So nobody is sitting around to please you and to help you like this. You are here
Yeah.
for a job, and
Yeah.
please understand, this liking and all is too much of mushy soft talk that is sold online in Instagram. Life and job are a tough thing to do.
It
right? And
is.
you are making the transition. Nobody else in the company is making the transition. You came from college and you are entering the working world. You have to make a career. Nobody is under any obligation to help you make that career. Of course, people
Correct.
will try, but
Yeah.
please enter with the assumption that if you can't help yourself, nobody else will. And
Agreed.
the miracle is that if once you decide to help yourself, there will be many people who will be
Who will
available
help?
to help
Yeah.
you. Right? But
Yeah.
that first step is always taken by you, and I'm glad that you put that 1 year timeline. Of course, no timeline is sacrosanct, but generally a 1 year thing is a very good thing for
At least
youngsters.
it's a good stage to start thinking that something's working or not working, I feel. Yeah.
Absolutely right. So
Before that, it's too premature because I've been in that phase myself, trust me, and things changed. When you give that another 6 months, you will start looking at things with a broader perspective. Things change.
usually, not liking is a internal reflection of two three things, that I don't understand what is happening, I don't know this job. It
Correct.
is usually our inadequacies and limitations that
Yes.
are reflecting in the statement that I don't like this, right?
True.
That liking and all is too early for making that statement. It is a translation of our inadequacies and limitations, unless of course something really abusive or toxic is happening at work, which is a separate
Correct.
topic. So we will
Correct.
leave that. um, Binati, who's not, when she's not reading or writing a book, she's on my show. So, so thank you, Binati. Take your shot. The mistake people make are, of course, singular identity. People, we can definitely wear multiple hats. So thanks, Binati. Definitely very useful. Some specific questions coming in there. Yeah. So we will do a couple of them, and then I have a couple of more questions for you. And I know that we have only 12, 13 minutes to go. And this was actually a question I had, so I can ask it through Rajiv Ranjan Pratap Singh. Fantastic name, Rajiv. And being a student, in what ways that we can build a powerful resume?
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm assuming, Rajiv, that you don't mean powerful as in, if you are not powerful, you want to build a powerful resume. That does not happen, right? So a resume will reflect only what you are. So please don't
Correct.
make that mistake. But if I understand your question correctly, all you are saying is that how can you reflect who you are in a better way? So best person to ask is Dhairya. Over to you.
Sure. I think, Rajiv, to answer your question, I would suggest three things that you should concentrate on. Firstly, I think when you're preparing a resume, be very clear with what are things you want to highlight, what are the things you can still let go of. A lot of people have a lot of conflict with decision making of what to keep in the resume, what to discard. And I think with every job, it can shift and change, and it should. That's customization in the resume. But to make that decision, should this also be added? Can this be removed? Is very important. That's, I always say, the difference between a good resume and an excellent resume or a powerful resume, whatever adjective you want to give it, is a powerful resume will only share necessary things, right? Giving your entire bio data or sharing all your achievements will never get you a job. Stating what is needed is going to get you the job, according to the job. So I think to make that right decision and put only what's needed is very important. That's the first thing. The second thing that's extremely important is, instead of making your resume very, very job and responsibility focused, make it more impact focused, right? So instead of just telling somebody that you are a business development executive or a marketing analyst who's responsible for building offline and online campaigns, or for the organization and its clients, it's a generic statement, and that's your responsibility as a marketing analyst. Why don't you rather focus on, let's say, if you've worked with 10 plus clients and you've been able to create 5 campaigns for them in the past, let's say, 3 months, which have resulted in 10% more traffic for the clients. That's a more quantifiable, a more impact oriented point, because that gives me an insight into what you're capable of doing, how much you've been able to achieve numerically. So that also helps me understand your capabilities and what limits can you take something to and help me in my firm indirectly. So that's one thing. Don't make it job or responsibility focused, make it more impact focused. And the third thing would be that just keep in mind that when you are, let's say, highlighting on let's say, for example, if you are applying to a very heavy research oriented job, just an instance, you know for a fact that if you're applying for a research oriented job, mentioning certain research publications or anything related to research will help you, right? If you've done a project, it will act as an highlight. So it's very important to understand certain key elements or spikes that have to be there in your resume according to the job. For example, in management consulting, anything oriented to problem solving, if I've taken part in a business case study challenge, or I was the head of, let's say, growth in some club or chapter in my college, and I was able to help them build a strategy or a roadmap, these indirectly translate to skills needed on ground as a consultant, indirectly. So that
Hmm.
starts showing them potential in you, that okay, they have the base skills, a little bit of grooming and training, and they can get into this role. So you have to show them that you're just about there and you just need a little bit of grooming and you can go there. So show those kind of skills through either projects or certifications or publications, or extracurricular activities you're a part of, even as a matter of fact in some niche subjects if that's oriented to what you're trying to do, so that it all ties back down to the fact in their memory that this person can transition or transit into this role very easily and smoothly, and they start looking at you as an ideal job candidate. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. So, Rajiv, I hope you had some inputs. Of course, if you need more and customized inputs, you can reach out to Dhairya herself. Our common friend, Dr. Hemang, is also adding a little bit that something like you said, rather than just accomplishment. What are the key takeaways, which you mentioned, like impact, right? So, thanks, Hemang. One more specific question I'll take, and then Sriram Krishnamurti is asking, one of my friend is okay. Somebody is interested in moving to the US for a teaching job.
Mhm.
What is the safe way? Safe way is to take a flight, Sriram. Don't walk. So, but unless, of course, you are hinting that there is a risk, and from the question it appears that maybe the person will leave something and go. So therefore, there is some risk, and you are suggesting some safe way. So this could be a mid-career question, but the the way I would approach it, Sriram, is that, and since I do speak to a lot of mid-career people, is that first of all, why, right? Why do you want to do a teaching job? Do you know enough about the teaching jobs in US, and why US, right? So
Correct.
and why teaching? All these answer whys are more important than the how and where and which flight and how do you go and which university, right? So once you have the whys clear, then you can get down to a little bit of shortlisting of which universities you may want to go. And like Dhairya also helps students select universities and and go. But depends really on your needs. If money is a need, then there is a certain set of universities. If academic excellence is a need, then another set of universities, and some will be common, of course. And then you start looking at building some kind of a financial corpus before you make that plunge, right? And you will, of course, have to, very important, will have to build a personal brand and networking
Yeah.
to be able to connect to these people, right? Why should they listen to Sriram or Sriram, your friend? Why should they listen to you sitting thousands of miles away with no teaching background or qualification? I'm latching onto that because you said safe, so I'm assuming that there is a risk in this transition, right? So some assumptions being made, but those are the things I would say. So it could be well between a 1 to 3 year journey, maybe more. But if you're that passionate, or if your friend is that passionate, there is a process that you can put in place. So Dharya, I used your method of guiding youngsters to going to selecting universities in answering this question. So I do watch your videos, so you now know.
I know.
Um, some more. Interesting one is going for a master's degree abroad a better option if you want to explore and broaden your knowledge? So I don't see a name, but good question. Anything on this, Daria? Going for a master's degree abroad is a better option if you want to explore and broaden your knowledge. This is, of course, contextual because we don't know your
Yeah.
context, but a general answer I'll request Daria.
Sure. Just generalizing it without knowing your background and why you're doing what you're planning of doing, why a master's, I think there's nothing like a better option. It's you have to make that option better depending on if you feel it's better for you. I think, I mean, for an individual who is ultimately very confident that they want to do an MBA, has made MBA better choice for themselves. Doesn't mean MBA is better than masters, right? The point is, if you're pretty certain why you're doing a master's, and I'm sure there must be something attached to it. Let's say you've done a BTech in electronics and you're also planning to do a master's in electronics because you see yourself working at a Qualcomm or a Texas Instruments or a Cisco, and working in a core engineering job. And then I think it's wonderful because if you know that that is the field you want to dive deeper into, generally people go into masters to get expertise and deeper knowledge in a particular core subject, right? And if that is what is a career choice you want to make, and that seems sensible to you, it aligns with your career and future goals, I think then it is a better option. Now, whether outside of India is a better option or not will totally again depend on the kind of expectations you have from the career you want to make for yourself. For a lot of people, doing an MTech within India is a better option rather than doing a master's degree from outside, because of various reasons. See, I cannot just state even career goals here. To make a decision to do a master's or an MBA in India or outside of India, I think there are many external factors that come into picture as well. Financial conditions, external factors, timing, the scores you will get in your examinations. Also, you write a GMAT or you are writing, a GATE examination if it's in India. A lot of factors will come into picture, how you're approaching your application process. But overall, even if I don't want to bring all the factors into picture, if you've decided that due to XYZ reason and it's clear in your head, I want to go outside of India come what may, and I want to do a master's because I want to achieve ABCD. And if it's all adding up, and by all means, you have the resources and the capability, and the financial support to go ahead with it, then I think you should. Uh, yeah, that is what I would say. But if any of these parts of this entire equation is not in place, and you don't have a clear answer to the why or how you're going to execute or implement it, then you should take a step back and think about it and recalibrate your decision and look at alternate options. And irrespective, I feel, even if you're very confident with what you're doing, have at least one alternate plan as to what
Yeah.
else, if not this, okay, if not masters in US or UK or whatever, maybe can I do a master's in India? If yes, what is my roadmap for that, and how can I back that up if this does not work out? Something should be there just as a alternative to what you are ideally wanting to do. Yeah, so I think that is how you can go about it.
Sure. I'll take only two questions. Quite a lot of comments now pouring in. So one suggestion, of course, people who are on LinkedIn are posting questions. So I will request Daria to, during her free time, if she can revisit this page
Sure.
and take time to answer some questions. And if she can't, do reach out to her on her page, comment or reach out to her. And she's very
Yes.
generous with her help and will be able to. And Dhairya Decodes is our website. So if you still want to reach out, I'll share it in the post, after this call as well. But Murlidhar has asked something which is related to the show itself. So there, I'll take this. So Murlidhar, those who are not on LinkedIn, I stream this show live on YouTube as well, and I have pasted my YouTube link, channel link in the LinkedIn comments. So you can, of course, use that to any friends or colleagues or family members who want to show. And thank you for your interest. One last question, or since we are on time, Nilza Angmo has asked this 2 3 times, so I'm assuming that she definitely needs an answer. So, what are some ways to discover my niche, that is her niche in content creation on LinkedIn? So, Nilza, we are getting Dhairya to answer this question for you. Thank
Yeah,
you for your.
I think, Nilza, um, don't concentrate on finding a niche if you want to find a niche. I'll tell you that from my experience, because if you're going to put that pressure on your head of finding a niche early on, especially if you've just started creating content, now I'm going to make some assumptions, obviously, because I don't know. And if you're very flustered with the fact that you don't know what is your niche, please don't put that pressure on yourself, because it's completely okay if you're not clear with what your niche is. In fact, I was clueless for the first 4 months what my niche is. When you will just start sharing your thoughts and whatever is coming to you organically or naturally, or some things that you're opinionated about that you want to talk about, and you feel like sharing content about that, not because somebody else forced you or told you to speak about it, because you want to. And if that happens over the next 3 4 months, you'll automatically realize by the fifth month that you have a certain inclination or an interest towards one particular industry or domain, right? Or certain topics that you really enjoy sharing your thoughts about. And then you can then define that as your niche and work upon it. Because in the beginning, I would share a lot of quotes, motivational content, and everything. My stories, tips around career guidance, and everything. So it was all very, very dispersed. It was not narrowed down. And then slowly and steadily, I realized that I am more inclined towards, or it comes more naturally to me to use my experience, my stories, and whatever I'm talking about, careers and resumes with students, to put it up as actionable tips. That is coming more naturally. That is something I'm confident about. I would like to talk about in the long run, but that only happened 4 months down the line. So, my only suggestion is try out your hands on whatever it is that you want to. Let's say you want to also try your hands on marketing, finance, and operations related content, do it, because by the end of it you will know, of 3 or 4 months of experimentation, that one of these, because trust me, to even pull off 3 months of continuous content in one niche, you will realize it's a task. But if something is still coming to you naturally beyond 3 months, you will realize that is your true niche, and you'll be able to stick to it and commit to it for a longer period of time. Yeah.
So, Nilda, there's no one better than Dhairya to answer this question, but I will attempt a little bit. You don't find your niche finds you, right? So try multiple things, of course, in a professional space, and then something organically will develop, and the niche will find you, right? So that's all I tell anybody who comes to me. uh, and everybody has some specific area, and don't worry about the audience. There is enough and more audience about anything that you may want to create on a consistent and value adding basis. So thanks, Nilda, for your question and joining the show. Okay, we are actually above time, so I will wrap up now. Thank you very much, Darya. A fantastic show. For some
My
time, I
pleasure.
was making some notes and thought I'll make notes so that I can learn. And then around 15 20 minutes into the show, I forgot about making any note. That is how engrossed I was in the conversation, and that is the true value that you bring to the table. And I can clearly see why people gravitate to you. More power to you. I cannot any longer call you a young professional coach or something, because uh, that would mean that you are not an accomplished one. You are already an accomplished one at par with many others. So well done. Now, I don't say this lightly, and like I said in the beginning of the show, there was a reason I wanted you on the show, and I kept persisting in spite of our scheduling clash and all, because what you bring to the table is unique, right? And the fact that it's all very recent makes it very relevant, right? So that is very important. So youngsters sometimes they rightly, and I don't blame anybody, they rightly want, because tell me something that has worked. So here is something that has worked, right? So anybody listening to this, here is something that has worked out really well in the last 2 3 years itself. If you wanted any more proof, it doesn't exist, right? So this is it. And there are not many people who've traveled this, made this journey as a student content creator, then intern, then helping others, finding a niche, and then converting, and also doing a job for 2 2.5 years, then finding your niche, building that niche, converting it into a profession, all in 3 years, right? So anybody who had this doubt that this is not possible or this is a story, this is not a story, this is real. So with that, I'll close the show today. Thank you very much, Dhairya, once again, and to the lovely audience. Those in the audience who like the show and would like to share it further, the link that you used to reach the show, whether on LinkedIn or YouTube, is the same link for the recording. So don't
Right.
worry, you can share the same link ahead with anybody you think can be benefited from it. So with that, one more thing, I usually end the show with the announcement of the next one. So next Saturday, which is 28th, 11 a.m., We will have one of world's leading quality professional, Dawn Ringrose from Canada, and we will take her show live on that time. And you can, of course, I will post that, and you can bring in your questions for her, which we can post to her. So the week
Thank
after
you
that,
so much,
on
sir, once again for having me. It was a wonderful conversation. I think the questions asked by the audience were also very relevant. Thanks everybody who joined in, and I feel that I am really glad that somehow we were able to do this because I know things were not just matching, but I'm so happy that this happened because I didn't honestly even realize that it's been an hour or whatever of the conversation because I think it was very seamless, right? And because obviously you work in a different category or space, but because we have something in common with what we do, I could resonate with a lot of things that you were saying, and which will probably help me in my journey also as a coach. So thank you so much for sharing that, sir.
anytime you need a conversation, or you can call, and I'm sure if I
Definitely.
need your advice, I can call. With that,
Definitely.
let's close the show. Thank you very much, everybody, and we will see
Thank
you next
you.
week, same time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.